Yeah, I'm going to talk about this. I did watch this episode, South Park joining the Panderverse. It is a funny episode in that it pulls, it makes fun of a lot of things. It does make fun of Disney, makes fun of, Bob Iger. It definitely goes after Catherine Kennedy. It goes after the wokeness. It goes after Hollywood. It goes after our country essentially too. And so, I mean, this episode, there's a whole world in this Panderverse where everyone's a woman, including the men. And so there's a black Eric Cartman. Kenny is, I think he's supposed to be Asian. I think Chinese or Japanese. The only one that's not in this is Kyle, because, well, he's Jew. And that's, and then you have I think Stan is Indian. But yeah, all the kids, yeah, it's actually very funny. And Eric Cartman's worried about, there's the multiverse, which at first I think Stan and Kyle go, oh, we love the multiverse. We love Miles Morales. By the end of the whole thing, they hate the multiverse. They literally say. So I mean, essentially Eric Cartman, has a dream in this episode that he's a black chick. That there's this whole world where everybody in South Park's been replaced by women of diversity. Diversity has taken over, and he's freaking out that Catherine Kennedy's gonna, because of yeah. And so, one of the funnier parts of this whole thing, and I mean, Black Eric Cartman is hilarious when, essentially Eric gets pulled into the multiverse and gets taken to the all-woman world, the diverse world, and then Black Eric Cartman comes to our world, and Stan and Kyle go to the principal office, and Kyle's freaking out at Black Eric Cartman, the chick, and PC principal. It's so perfectly done. He goes, just tells them that call them out for being kind of not progressive enough on the not accepting that this is Eric Cartman. Why Eric Cartman can't be a black chick? And he goes, no. And it's just, then they go back to Kyle's home, his home, and essentially it turned, spoilers, this Eric Cartman simply wants a PC so that she can play Baldur's Gate 3. The whole time she's been wanting to play Baldur's Gate 3, so she makes him go get a new PC, doesn't tell him this, and then essentially Kyle's mom comes in and goes, yeah, she thinks this is, this is Eric Cartman. She goes, okay. She accepts it without question, says, you need to upgrade your, internet and everything, and she does. Because she finds out they spend a lot of money on a PC and everything, and she goes, well, you need to upgrade your internet and everything. And so Kyle's mom goes, sure, and accepts that this is Eric Cartman. And essentially the whole reason she's doing this because she wants to play, and then realizes she can't play her character in Baldur's Gate 3 because there's no connection between the multiverse, and she's pissed. But the even funnier part of this, where they have all the men in South Park can't do anything for themselves, and they keep hiring handymen and this is capitalism. Let's just put it that way. It's capitalism. They can't do anything. They literally constantly hit the joke that the oven door is broken. And Stan's father asked how to fix it. And literally, I think it's either Google, he asks, how do I fix the oven door? How to fix the oven door? Because it's broken, and Stan's mother keeps going, yeah, and he goes, I'm working on it. And so it tells him, you just need to tighten the screws. That's it. And he goes, and tells Stan how you have to, do it is hire someone who knows how to do the work. So they hire a handyman to fix the oven door, and then the handyman basically is, oh, I'm getting, essentially, you have to pay him more to get him to do the job, which turns out that these handymen get very rich off of capitalism, essentially making it impossible for these, as it goes on, they can't hire these handymen because they don't have the money, because they're broke. Not only can they not fix anything and they can do nothing, they can't hire a handyman because because of capitalism, it's become impossible for them to afford the handyman. So the handyman become rich off capitalism. All the men are useless. They go outside Home Depot. They can't do anything. They literally realize, they even bitch that their college degrees are worthless. So they go and attack the college. They have to hire a handyman to put a catapult so they can destroy it. And then Sam's father gets used to go into the multiverse. And he ends up bringing back all these essentially illegals to do the work for them because they're too lazy and stupid to do anything for themselves. So they bring a bunch of handymen from a different universe to here to essentially, because they're lazy. That's it. They can't do anything because they relied on AI, and this is a slap at Hollywood on this, but it's also a slap on essentially this generation of fucking young people can't do a fucking thing for themselves because they've relied on technology too much, and they rely on AI. So essentially we have a generation of idiots who can't do anything for them, and that's really the funniest part about this. It's not just that Hollywood, a slap on, it's a dig at them that they're useless and essentially they are going to get replaced by, they're bitching about AI. It's in general people, really, a lot of people can't do a fucking thing for themselves, like fix an oven door. And so yeah, that is the running joke of the whole thing, is that Stan's mother constantly says the oven door is still broken, and his father, Randy, goes, I'm working on it, and yet he's not trying to fix it. And it literally tells him, go watch it, when he asks, how do you fix an oven door? It says, tighten the screws. That's it. That's all you had to do to fix the oven door, to build it, is to essentially tighten the screws. That's all that needs to be done. Stan literally gets told, this is how you fix things. You hire someone to do the work for you because you're a lazy, good for nothing, fucking loser of a father. The third part of this is the part that involves Disney and Eric Cartman's dream that Catherine Kennedy wants to, is out to get him and essentially replace him. That's why he's having this dream where he's a black Eric Cartman and all this. And it turns out, yeah, Catherine Kennedy is trying to get her hands on Eric Cartman, and then there's, the multiverse, there's another Catherine Kennedy who essentially says, put a woman in it, make it stupid. Gotta put a woman in it, make it stupid. And she looks exactly like Eric Cartman. So they take it to get Disney because they use this Pander stone, and then Eric Cartman and Catherine Kennedy, sit down and have a conversation. It's revealed, and this is where they kind of give Catherine Kennedy a little, try to make her seem sympathetic, is that she's not the problem. The only reason she used the Pander stone as much as she did, that caused all these problems because Eric Cartman criticized her too much for diversity. That's essentially it. Is that Catherine Kennedy and Disney used to diversify things, and yes, Bob Iger's a piece of shit, so is Catherine Kennedy, but here, Eric Cartman literally apologizes to Catherine Kennedy because if he hadn't written all those letters criticizing her, she wouldn't have overused the Pander stone and brought to us a version of Catherine Kennedy that's worse than Catherine Kennedy, that looks like Eric Cartman. Not a joke. That's essentially what goes on, and this Catherine Kennedy looks like Eric Cartman. So in a way, they're making you go, oh, it's not Catherine Kennedy, it's Eric Cartman. It's the critics. People that criticize Catherine Kennedy for what she was doing to Star Wars and to Indiana Jones. And that's the problem. Trey Parker and Matt Stone are usually good at poking fun at everyone. Look at how they went after Isaac Hayes when he quit the show because of a repeat episode of Trapped in the Closet, where they said Tom Cruise is trapped in the closet and he won't, John Travolta's trapped in the closet and they won't come out. Isaac Hayes decided that was too much and he quit Scientology, so literally they turned his character into a pedophile. Yeah. Here, they do go after everything. They, it's funny. They make fun of Hollywood and its AI issue. They make fun of how worthless a lot of people are and how lazy they are and how much they rely on technology, especially parents. And in general, they do a slap, straight up go after Catherine Kennedy, but then they find a way to kind of give her an out by saying it's not her fault. It was the critics. They pushed her to do this. And this is where their conversation kind of gives Catherine Kennedy a way out. And even Clownfish TV talked about this. They even handily, but there's that slight part where it's Eric Cartman criticizing Catherine Kennedy caused her to overuse the Panderstone and creating this whole mess with the other Catherine Kennedy that looks like Eric Cartman, an evil version of Eric Cartman, that he actually does something, and he even said this, I've never done this, he apologizes to Catherine Kennedy. Then what happens after everything's solved and they get rid of the evil Catherine Kennedy? She tells Bob Iger, we should do some new stuff. And Bob Iger shows his true colors going, sure. Literally nothing changes. As much as I hate Catherine Kennedy, I don't like Kevin Feige, the one who's really in charge of all this, the one you really should want to get rid of, and the only way to change things is to get rid of this fucker is Bob Iger. Catherine Kennedy's not going to change anything she's doing. Even though they did try to make it look like she wanted to at the end of join the Panderverse, here's the thing. Nothing's going to change as long as the guy who's the CEO is able to keep doing what he's doing. Kevin Feige's not going to be gone. Catherine Kennedy's not going to be gone. You have to get rid of Bob Iger. You have to put somebody in who will do the right thing and fire these two fuckers and stop doing the woke shit and undo all the damage. That's the only way to fix any of this shit, essentially, is to get rid of Bob Iger. When Bob Iger didn't really leave, when he lied and he said Bob Chapin was the CEO, Bob Chapin tried to reverse course and he had to apologize because it turns out Bob Iger was still running the goddamn company. Yeah, so, yeah, it's a funny episode. I enjoyed it. Like I said, there's that little bit where you get Catherine Kennedy basically tells she wants to go back to her world too, because they're both stuck in the Panderverse world with all the, yes, they show the men are women. Yep, because when we meet Butters, who's a chick, yes, I think she's supposed to be, I forget what race, some minority, I'll just put it that way. They show his father is a fucking woman. Yes. I just want to put that out. All the men have, how you can tell they're men that are women, they have mustaches. They have facial hair. So essentially, yeah. And so they want to get back to their world. The only way to do it is to undo the damage, and what does Eric Cartman do? Admit he was the problem. Like I said, kind of a little way for Catherine Kennedy to get a little bit of sympathy for it's not her fault. She's not the evil one. It's the Eric Cartman Catherine Kennedy. It's Eric Cartman. He's the one. if his criticism hadn't happened, Catherine Kennedy wouldn't have done what she did. Essentially, they gave a way out for her. But yet, I hear she's pissed off at the whole thing and doesn't like the way they made fun of her and Disney. They're not happy. I hear they're pissed off. Good. Fuck you, Disney. Fuck you, Bob Iger. Fuck you. I hear that there's a guy who has more stock than anyone else in the company and wants to get himself, and I've watched Clownfish TV talk about this, Peltz, or yeah, they call him an activist, but he really is a guy that worked for Disney on the board for years, and he's tried to say, he wants to save this company, but he knows what he'll have to do, and right now he's trying to get a friend of his who actually gave his stock to him, who actually was the head of Marvel Studios, before he was ceremoniously fired, all because he didn't like Kevin Feige. Yeah. So, they did give a slight way out. It is funny. It's worth watching. But they did give a slight, way to say, well, this is not completely Catherine Kennedy's fault. If Eric Cartman, if she wasn't criticized so hard, she wouldn't have gone so pushed into the pandering or the diversity. Yeah. So, that's my review of this episode. Yeah. I will talk to you later. Bye.